What's up, pals? It is me and Megan Aller here for a good old-fashioned market review. Before I bury the lead, 3 main things we're going to talk about today. Why does it matter for you? What are they? 3 main things. Number 1, it is still a seller's market, but it is a buyer-friendly market and one of, I'd say, the top 2 most buyer-friendly little periods in the last 3 years. Number 2, still affordability issues because of interest rates. A lot of people are going to say, what? It's not buyer friendly. Buyers can't. Hear it all the time. You know who you are. So understanding there are still affordability issues for people looking to buy a home right now. There are things we're doing to get around those issues. There's always a solution. Okay, there's always a solution to every problem. And there's some very good solutions to affordability issues, at least short-term solutions until things loosen up a little bit. We've talked about those a lot. I'll hit on them a little bit later too. And the third thing, it is going to get worse for buyers in the spring. It's going to get more challenging in the spring. The market right now, you're able to get a lot of price reductions, concessions. Homes are staying on the market more, at least much more than they have most of the last couple of years. In the spring, that's going to tighten up. A lot of those things are going to go away. So let's get through the data here. So Megan Aller's report, we've talked about this a lot. She has the best data in the Denver metro, some of the best data in America, bar none. One thing to point out real quick, data is only as good as it is local when it comes to real estate. A lot of people will look at the broader national real estate market, which is great if you want to make a case for something or if you're looking at macroeconomics. But in terms of what's actually happening and what it means for home buyers in the Denver metro, doesn't do us a lot of good because every state's different and some are wildly different than they are here. So looking at the local data is really the only thing that's important. So I'm going to move myself over here. The highlight reel she lays out every week. I just did a couple of highlights here. Month supply of inventory is sitting at 2 months, which presents, she says, buyers with an excellent opportunity to negotiate transactions heading into the fourth quarter. 2 months of supply is larger than we've seen really all year. That lines up with seasonality in that the real estate market typically gets slower this time of year. 2 months, just for context, 2 months of supply is still a seller's market. A completely balanced market, neither buyer's market nor seller's market, would be 6 months of supply. And anything more than that would be technically a buyer's market. We are still in a seller's market, but it's more buyer friendly than we've seen. Inventory remains low, but it's higher than it has been, and buyer activity is lower because of a number of factors. The next thing I have here, market is hotter and colder geographically. That's another thing. We talked about local data, but really, I hate the term hyper-local because it's kind of a buzzword now, but really it is. It's important not just to go to the Denver metro, but where are you? What city and really what neighborhood are you in? Megan points out hotter areas can be found west of I-25. Everybody wants to be close to the mountains, right? That's a big reason people live here. So west of I-25, places like Sloan's Lake, places like the Highlands, places, even parts of Lakewood, Littleton, those areas, Westminster can be pretty competitive right now. Cooler in areas of new construction way out where there's more housing inventory, right? Central Denver, okay, especially downtown. Downtown is much, much slower than pretty much everywhere else in Denver. And even some of those other central Denver neighborhoods have gotten slower. And then outer ring suburbs, way the heck out there. And say like Arvada, Old Town is going to be a little bit warmer, but then way out in Arvada, Leiden Rock, Candelas, stuff like that, there's just a lot more housing inventory, higher price points, so it's going to be slower, cooler. Just a thing to point out. So here's the deal. Okay, so there's a lot going on this page. I keep moving myself all over the place. We've looked at this before. Basically, all I want you to pay attention to is this black line here. That tells months of supply. So I talked about we're at 2 months of supply right now. I circled it right now. This is going to come down in the spring. It's going to come down for 2 reasons. Number one, there's going to be more buyers out there, so they're going to buy up some of this inventory. And number two, a lot of listings expire right around the new year. You will see last year, if I can get my little thing here, last year, and this will be red, the same time. Okay, last year actually inventory peaked at almost 3.5 months of supply. Insane. And then right around the new year, it came way, way down. A lot of listings expire, pardon me, around the new year. Listings expire that have been sitting on the market. At the end of December, start of January, people just say, let's take it off. We want to deal, we want to do the holidays. We don't want to have it on. We'll put it back on in the spring. There's a big purge of inventory that happens. So you can see, if you look at last year, what this little curve here and what's happening now, it's basically the same thing. Interest rates were high last year too. They weren't as high as they are now at the end of last year, but they were high enough that it affected the market significantly, and people weren't getting free money anymore like they were during 2020, 2021, and the early part of 2022. So this is going to happen again. You can see it already happening here, meaning buyers have more leverage right now because there's a lot more inventory on the market. That will change in the spring. Will it be as strong this spring as last spring? I don't know. It will be stronger in terms of a seller's market than it is right now. Next slide, meaning I have to get off my little drawing thing. Okay, this is, I can just move myself all over the place. This is just, so much fun. This is showings, okay? This is showings per listing per week. We are at 1.6 right now. 1.6 is the average showings per week. And so what I circled, that's 1.6. What I circled right now is this, basically in the spring of this year, it was about twice that. But again, you can see this time-ish last year and really going into the holidays, it was lower, even a little lower than it is right now. So again, it's going to happen more showing activity, more buyers, more competition. It's going to happen in the spring. I keep doing that. I'll move myself. So median days on market. This is an important metric to keep in mind, important to gauge how fast things are moving in the real estate market. Right now we have 21 median days on market. Okay. 21. That's come up a lot. It basically came down here around 5 in the spring. The arrow I did here, that was last year. Last year at this time. What does it look like? What does it look familiar to? This year at this time, okay? They're very similar. And you see the curve doing the same thing. Again, it's going to keep going up until the end of the year, and then it's going to come way down around New Year, and it's going to stay low through the spring. Again, will it be as low? Not sure, but the curve is following the same pattern. That's what's going to happen. Already did that one. Last one I want to show you. This is price reductions for pending transactions. How many homes that actually went under contract had at least one price reduction? Right now, we're at 45%. Nearly half of the homes on the market had at least one price reduction. That's big. That's very big. All this just to point out, right now is a great time to go out, if you're a buyer, to look for homes. You do have the challenge of the high interest rates. 2 things. Number one, 3 things, actually. What we're doing a lot when I talked about getting around high interest rates is temporary interest rate buy downs. Sellers paying for them. Typically, rather than, if a place has been on the market for a while, rather than saying, hey, we want $25,000 off the purchase price. Maybe we say that too. But we say, hey, we want a seller credit. We want a concession. We want you to give us $15,000-ish of cash back at closing. That in turn will buy down your interest rate for the first 2 years. Usually depends on a number of factors. Then you take that, it'll lower your monthly payment for the first couple of years, or even 3 years. There's a 3-2-1 buy down too. And then if and when interest rates drop, then you can refinance into a more palatable 30-year fixed mortgage. If interest rates don't drop, guys, that means you have the best rate that you're going to get. And maybe you say, well, I don't want that rate. Great. Then you're not buying a house anytime in the next 3 years. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want to stay in the house you're at now. A lot of people are doing that. No big deal. Maybe you are okay to rent. Great. That's a good option too. But if you're interested in buying a home, that's the thing. I'm not trying to make anyone do anything. But if you're interested in buying a home, I like to point these things out because you're either going to have the best interest rate you're going to get, or there's going to be an opportunity to refinance. When rates do come down, it'll happen at some point. Who knows when it is? When it happens, there's going to be more buyer competition. What I'm talking about is going to happen next spring. That's going to happen regardless. That's going to happen assuming rates stay the same. If they come down significantly, 1%, something like that, if they're in the mid 6s, it's going to be worse. It's going to be back into multiple offer territory, waiving concessions, that stuff like that. It comes down to the 5s. Who knows? It's going to be great because it's going to help people with affordability. It makes a big difference in your monthly payment. But if we're able to buy now and get a temporary buy down, you get to benefit from those interest rates whenever they do drop too. But you already got the house. So you kind of get both. You get to benefit from the softer market now because rates are high, and then you get to benefit from the lower rate whenever you do a refinance. Refinancing, super easy, actually very inexpensive. And so that's the point. But some people can't. A lot of people can't. They're just like, hey, the numbers don't work. Great, I get it. If they do work, but you're just, I don't know, maybe a little fearful because of what you've heard in the national media or some guy on YouTube walking around through his neighborhood. He's always like walking around yelling about how everything's going to crash. There's a little bit more context. So hopefully that's helpful. It's going to get tougher in the spring. A lot of people are going to buy in the spring anyway. I get it. If you want to zig when others zag, between now and the end of the year is a good time to do that. If you are thinking of selling your home, by the way, haven't forgotten about you. If you're going to say, hey, is it better to do it now or in the spring? In the spring. It's a better time to do it. That is the simple answer. It's also a complicated answer. It depends on your situation. It depends on your neighborhood. Some of them are still moving very quickly, and we're able to capitalize on some market factors there. The important thing with selling your home is you got to present it well. You got to price it well. You get one shot at the first going on the market impression. Once you blow that, then everything kind of goes downhill from there. So conversation I'm happy to have. As you guys know, it is my aim to be your go-to Denver real estate resource. That's why I do this stuff. So would love to have the conversation. If I can be of help of you in any way, my information will be all over the place. Text me, call me. DM me on Instagram. I actually love that one. However you want to do it. Email me. A lot of people like that too. You're the best. Love you. Bye.